And this is the ETV Coaches Show. Mark T. Robinson here with his softball coach, Janae Shirley. We're not in the clubhouse this time, sorry, folks. But nevertheless, we have our coaches show here in our grand Tiger room, our media room. So, Coach, you guys have started off 8-0 and picked up a big win against Oro State. And on Saturday, in the final game of the series, scored 16 runs. So your team, needless to say, is off to a tremendous start. From the eyes of the coach, how have you evaluated your team so far 8 games in?
Well, this team has been a lot of fun to coach so far. They're very open and willing to kind of make adjustments and work on things and get better, and they want to win, and so that's nice. They get along really well, so that's been fun, and they just enjoy the game. But I've been pleased with just how they've been able to kind of like adjust throughout games and things like that. Each game, our goal is to get better from one series to the next, and I feel like they've been doing that. We still have a lot to work on, but they're continuing to progress and get better every week.
Absolutely, and obviously, starting the season undefeated, and obviously before we started the season, we kind of talked about how you had tons of talent on this team in terms of having hitters that can pitch and things like that. And so as a coach, 8 games in, how have you kind of worked with that sort of aspect of the game? Has that been the fun part? Has it been kind of the hard part?
Well, it has been fun. Like, we definitely have athletic kids, across the board, up and down the lineup. I think this lineup is very challenging for a lot of people because from top to bottom, we have kids that hit for power. I think we're just a lot stronger offensively up and down the lineup than we were last year, and so that's definitely a positive thing. As far as the pitching and stuff goes, like, it's been nice to be able to have kids that can do a lot of things and are athletic out there. I think the SIDs that are keeping stats are
yes.
getting really annoyed, but it's kind of been frustrating for them. But other than that, it's been fun to coach them and see the different dynamic that we have.
And those SIDs you're talking about is our very own Stephen Featherstone. He has had a great time figuring all those intricacies out with you guys so far. So I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about that. But just going back to kind of the team dynamic, obviously last year's core, while it was very successful, was kind of a different unit. And then this year's team, kind of a little bit of a difference there also. But for you as a coach, what is the difference in team dynamic between, what you guys were able to do last year and this year's team so far?
I think there is definitely like a unique group of leaders in this group that we have this year. They're very selfless and they want to win and want to be successful. And this group has been great about like helping those younger kids, be successful. Even if it's kids that are, could possibly take their position, they're out there helping them learn and helping them get better every day. And these kids just generally enjoy being around each other, and so that's been fun to watch.
Absolutely, and just kind of talk to me about so far here, with the early part of the season, has there been any of your athletes that have kind of like impressed you where you say, man, they've got to get some time on the field, or I didn't know that they had this particular skill set here 8 games in? Is there a particular or set of athletes from your team that has really impressed you so far?
There has really been a bunch that have surprised us, which has been awesome. I think as far as the returning group, the surprise, not offensively at all, but defensively this year has been Danny. So Lise, she played lights out this weekend defensively. I know she got an offensive award today, but just defensively, it was super tough conditions, with the wind and stuff, and she played a really great outfield and just kept us in a lot of games out there. She saved us a lot of outs, and so I've been impressed with a kid that came in as a pitcher for us and then transitioned to the outfield, just the strides that she's made out there, just getting better at that position and really, being one of the top outfielders that we've ever had out there. And so that's been impressive as far as the returning standpoint. But as far as new kids, each week it's been somebody else that is kind of stepped up. Emily Doremus, who's a transfer for us, has done a phenomenal job, just just coming in and filling a position, and she's like offensively doing a great job for us. We're having some freshmen, and Hannah Garcia has been playing shortstop a little bit for us, and that's a tough spot to play as a freshman, and she's handled that really well. And offensively provided a spark. Mariah Delgado, another one who's just kind of offensively provided a spark for us out there in the outfield. And it's like each week we've had a different new player that has stepped up. This past week we were able to use a lot of pinch hitters, and we had some impressive at bats off of the bench, which was great. And so that's been really fun to see. And that's not even including the pitching staff that we have with B, Lotta, and Presley Cox and Savannah Buell and Hannah and all those kids. Like, it's not even including them. They've really just stepped up, and so we've been impressed with all of them. Each week somebody else steps up, and I think that's what it takes to have a good team is when somebody's maybe not doing their best, there's somebody else that's stepping up. You're not always relying on the same person, and
right.
They've done a good job of that.
Absolutely. And so speaking of, you brought up Beatrice Lotta. Am I saying that correctly? Beatrice. Gotcha. Okay. Want to make sure I get it right here. And just kind of talking about, her ability to be successful in the circle and successful at bat. So that transition for her, obviously coming in, she's been doing some hitting in high school as well, but at the college level, how has she handled that transition thus far in your eyes?
I think she hasn't really had to make a transition because she's always done that. She's been a successful hitter, out throughout her high school career, and travel ball she hit too. So for her, it hadn't really been a transition. It's been a transition for us because it's been a couple years since we've had a pitcher that has hit the ball really well, and and she's up in the top part of our order, and so I think it's been more on our end transitioning and kind of working people ahead, like thinking through how we're going to do that lineup wise. But so far it's worked out well, and we've been able to kind of free some people up and change some things around, and that's been awesome.
Absolutely. And last three questions here for you. So, and don't hold me to that three, by the way, just throwing that out there. But so I was looking at the stats, the box score from Saturday's game, and I was just looking at basically all the players who recorded runs. It was several. I lost count. But have you ever had a complete game like that where everyone was able to contribute a run or go out there, pick up an RBI, pick up several RBIs, all in the same game like that?
Yeah, it was interesting. There was actually, I kind of noticed there was a lot of like I said, it was a statistical nightmare, I think, for the people keeping, because they got the twins confused and stuff like that.
Yes.
And there was one kid that I don't even think, Madison Prince, that wasn't even shown on there, that actually played in that game too. But yeah, like I said, every kid that came off the bench in whatever position or role they filled, they did an excellent job. And that's where it's been a while since we've been, I guess what you'd say, deep like that.
Yes.
Been able to pull kids off the bench and know that this kid's capable of hitting it out or having a good at bat or doing something like that. And so that's been a great addition, I guess, and experience. And so that's been fun. But that game was neat because every time somebody got an opportunity, they took advantage of it.
Absolutely. And so you guys are facing the Blazers this week, and just coming in, they're 3-2, so they're looking to kind of continue to build on their conference schedule as well. So while conferences start a little bit earlier, is that kind of an advantage? Because we were talking just before the interview about how early it's starting and how kind of weird it is sometimes, but is that an advantage for your team to get used to this level of conference play early on, or is it just kind of you'd rather have more regional and non-conference games to start?
I think we're so used to it that we don't really notice a difference. I know, like, on the national level, there's so many teams that haven't even started yet, and that really won't start until after March.
Wow.
Due to weather and things like that. So I think for us, it's kind of what we're used to, and so they don't think anything different of it. But it is nice. I mean, obviously right now is not when we're wanting to play our best ball. We want to kind of hit our peak later on in the season, so that allows us time to do it. But at the same time, it also, when you're already starting games that count towards conference and things like that, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, I think, because you aren't necessarily prepared to face that competition, that early in the season. But, that's what makes teams better is they learn from each game, and hopefully we'll continue to do that each weekend, progress and get better from the weekend before. And so that's our goal.
And finally, so I was kind of talking to one of your athletes last week, and we were debating which was more difficult, hitting a softball or hitting a baseball. Now, since I'm speaking to a head coach right now, can you help settle this debate? Which is harder? Because she was telling me that with a softball, you kind of have to kind of chop at it a little bit to some degree. And with a baseball, it's just straight hitting. So can you solve that for us?
I think that's not a fair comparison because I think they're two totally different games.
Okay.
But what I would suggest is maybe we do a little experiment, and you can be the batter.
Okay.
Baseball pitcher, and we'll get a softball pitcher, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And you can just be the judge of that.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
We'll try that. I do have one more thing that I'd like to throw out, and just for people watching our game Saturday in the Childhood Cancer Awareness game, I just wanted to encourage people to come and support that. We have a couple of kids coming out to help us kind of ring in that game and just kind of support those kids that are battling cancer, and we'd love to have everybody out for that.
Absolutely. And I'm actually glad that you mentioned that. I also have a family member also dealing with that right now as well. So thank you once again for bringing that to light. And you can come out and support the ETBU softball team as they take on Belhaven this weekend in the Strikeout Cancer game at Taylor Field. So continue to stay up to date with all things ETBU sports at goetbtigers.com, or follow us on social media at goetbtigers. Once again, Mark T. Robinson, Janae Shirley, head softball coach. We'll be back on this ETBU channel with another coach. You'll see who it is on the other side. Thanks for watching.